my agent called me and said, "Hey, there's a sequel to the first season of Waco," and I said that I think you're probably mistaken, because that's like saying that there's a sequel to the Titanic. It's pretty definitive.
Very excited to be chatting about Waco, the aftermath. Man, I watched the original series when it came out.
Yeah.
Several years ago. It was like 2018. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then I went back and I binged the show recently. When it went up on Showtime. Gosh, man, it's so good. I'm so excited for the follow-up. What I wanted to ask you was about the role that you're playing and how that fits into the larger narrative of the show.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, to go back, my agent called me and said, "Hey, there's a sequel to the first season of Waco," and I said that I think you're probably mistaken, because that's like saying that there's a sequel to the Titanic. It's pretty definitive. How could they have? And he said, no, you got to read it. And so I did, and it was, I mean, there's so much to talk about, but it was really specifically just fascinating, daunting, because the idea of doing a courtroom drama and being the criminal defense attorney in that cross-examinations and all that, and what was great for me was the fact that I was able to talk to the real life Dan Cogdell, the criminal defense attorney that I was playing, who had defended Clive Doyle, who was one of the surviving members of the Branch Davidians. Yeah. And he was just so supportive. And I mean, his take on everything regarding the criminal justice system, criminality, sociology, is just incredible. And so, yeah, it was just something that was on that front, as an actor, something that I wanted to tackle, but it was also just, the subject matter of the aftermath and what had happened and this event that was singed into our minds from, the live broadcasts 30 years ago. Yeah. I don't know if, I mean, I maybe you remember, but yeah, that really sparked that and Ruby Ridge sparked what is now known as the American militia movement, and the growing civil unrest that we have in our country. When I was reading the scripts, I looked at the television, and there were people running down the street lighting things on fire, and there just seemed to be a correlation there for me. So
yeah, it is unfortunate in the ways that history repeats itself. Were there elements of the what happened back then, Waco and the aftermath, Timothy McVeigh, all of that you became more enlightened to by working on this project?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there was so much research done. I think they had a whole team, obviously, and Drew and John Dowdle, the Dowdle brothers, who wrote, ran the show, directed all the episodes, were so knowledgeable about this. And so, yeah, that's one of the things. There really are a lot of things that come to the surface. It's not a documentary, and even from that standpoint, I think they were very conscious of not wanting to take either side, to take more of a pan-determined viewpoint in expressing the story, to not be necessarily divisive in executing it, but just bringing up the topic, because again, I think apparently, according to some survey, and as of 2011, there were 330 or 340 militias in the country. In other words, potentially homegrown terrorism. And so, yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. It is really fascinating. And I I too was surprised that there was going to be a sequel, because, you know, watching Waco, you're kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, that's the end. But what dawned on me was how well that original show handles balancing the perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of what's made me excited about the new series, is I'm like, oh, well, I clearly see like the breadcrumbs here. Like they're going to be very, very encapsulating of
Inclusive.
character.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, I think that you know, David Koresh, you know, by all accounts, from my perspective personally, and you know, I again, I don't want to get political or get controversial or inflame the conversation, but was not a good person.
Mhm.
The people who were members of the Branch Davidians were looking to believe in something, and we're looking to have faith. And I think from that perspective and what they were doing, you know, I mean, it was this 51 days, and it was being broadcast live 24 hours a day. And you know, nobody thought that it was going to go to this place of a conflagration. There were, I think, 28 children in the building. And I think that, again, I think that bodes a discussion to understand what is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, and I really appreciate your insight today.
Oh,
Waco, The Aftermath, that's on, so begin streaming this Friday, April 14th, and then it is airing on Showtime on Sunday, April the 16th. Giovanni, thank you so much for your time today.
cool. Thank you. All right.